Welcome back to the Smugsy Show. I'm Smugsy, your host, identifying as the Barstool Cougar. Each week we meet here and talk about important things and important people. My pronouns are first and third person. This week there was some sobering news from Dave Portnoy, the illustrious founder and president of Barstool Sports. On his podcast, The Dave Portnoy Show, with Eddie & Co., Dave announced that he's dying. Bummer. Dave Portnoy's dying from brain-dead content. Apparently it's running rampant through Barstool Sports. His whole team has it, with possibly the exception of Eddie and the TikTok kid. So our best wishes from the Smugsy Show to Dave Portnoy and everyone who's sick with brain-dead content at Barstool. We certainly saw signs of it in the interview with Mrs. Portnoy on Thanksgiving when Dave didn't know that his mother was knitting hats. It's sad. Brain-dead content is, it's no surprise. Barstool Sports is like daycare, really, and Dave Portnoy's daycare daddy. And he's surrounded with kids who are infected with brain-dead content, and now he's got it. And no wonder why his mother's, depressed and crying. So, what Dave Portnoy says he wants, what he needs desperately is forethought and ideas. That's what he said. Those were his words, forethought and ideas. Well, Dave, the cavalry's coming. The Smugsy Show, that's what we're all about, forethought and ideas. Here's some forethought. If you keep doing the same thing over and over, the same way, and expect a different result, you'll drive yourself insane. You'll become brain dead, Dave. So I think you need to shake things up, make some changes. One change, obvious change, is to reduce the takers in your life and change the vision for Dave. And that's what the Smugsy Show does, is we kind of look out ahead of the curve, around the corner. Think of ideas with forethought about the vision. Rather than Daddy Daycare 24/7, how about Dave Portnoy as Karl Lagerfeld, the German-born fashion designer? Spent his life mostly in Paris, summering in Monte Carlo, until his death last year at the age of 87, made big and important, beautiful things, designed several labels for the Chanel fashion house and others, made sculptures out of marble. Well, he spent the height of his career discovering what many makers discover, and that is quality over quantity, and reducing the number of takers in his life, and that's what Dave Portnoy needs to do. Karl Lagerfeld had a very healthy self-esteem, another reason why he reminds me of Dave. When he was asked in a 2018 interview who Lagerfeld most identified with in terms of a historic, iconic figure, Karl Lagerfeld said, myself, which I can kind of imagine Dave saying. So Karl Lagerfeld created things, was a maker, and said to reduce takers, he kind of reduced his big and busy life to few luxuries: sheets, paper, his cat, show pet. He said the imagination is an exercise that is a muscle that needs to be exercised. And, importantly, that exposure to other people's second-rate ideas and images and movies and videos weakens the muscle, weakens the imaginative muscle. So, Dave, reduce the takers, reduce the people who are sucking the life out of your brain. How will we do that? Well, here are the ideas. How about you're fired? Have a thing. You're fired. Dave Portnoy fires people on a regular basis in a show. It's sort of like Donald Trump, but even better with your own style. We could market it, the bejesus out of it across all channels. You're fired. Or Barstool Survivor. Stoolies, voting other Stoolies off the island would be very exciting, very big. You can imagine the machinations of sick people like Kirk Minihane, Machiavellian weirdos. It would be very exciting. So reduce the takers. diversify the voices at Barstool to reduce the risk of brain-dead content. Bring mature, seasoned voices like Smugsy into the fold to create synergy. I'm not talking about a woke quota. Okay, this isn't the NASDAQ. I'm talking about, well, let me give you a specific example of Smugsy synergy with the Barstool family and community. We love One Bite Pizza Reviews, right? It's Dave's signature program, really. One Bite Pizza Review, everybody knows the rules. Well, last week there was a real success story with good pizza in Philadelphia. Remember that kid, Ben Berman? He lowered the pizza down out of his second-floor apartment in Philly, and people who paid for it, the money would go to charity. Dave did a One Bite Pizza Review, matched the contributions, total success story. Okay, this kid, Ben Berman, he's not producing a lot of brain-dead content. He's getting his MBA from Wharton and doing the pizza. And, that kid, he got his start with yours truly, Smugsy, as an intern. So that's the kind of foundation that Dave was able to tap into and carry across the finish line. And so it's an example of the synergy that a diverse portfolio of voices in Barstool could add value to the experience and broaden the audience. Here's another idea. You've heard the proverb, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, and feed him for a lifetime. Here's an idea. Let's teach the Stoolies how to fish. And by that, I mean how to bet on sports. Gen X, cougars, people with money, people who have real jobs, time on their hands. The mansplaining of sports on silly videos on YouTube is good for a certain demographic, but for others, why not, conference with black tie party, black jack party. We had your blackout parties in the early years. Well, let's step it up a notch. A conference with big names, keynote speaker. Teach the Stoolies how to fish. Well, that's just a few examples of the fresh content you can expect here on the Smugsy Show. I hope you'll subscribe to the show. Follow me on Twitter @SmugsyGirl. And until next time, this is Smugsy signing off. Take care.